Have you ever noticed something strange as the years go by? That your world seems to grow quieter? Not just the noise of traffic outside, or the laughter of children that once echoed through your house. No, I mean the deep, human quietness. The phone rings less, the mailbox brings fewer letters, the invitations to coffee or dinner grow rarer, and somewhere in that quiet, an old familiar voice in your heart begins to ask, "Do I still matter to anyone?" If you've ever felt this, I want you to know something very important: you are not alone. And today, we are going to have a gentle but honest conversation about this season of life. About why it happens, about how it affects us more than we realize, and, most importantly, about how to reclaim joy, connection, and purpose. Yes, even now, even here. But first, let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Judith, 73 years old, living in a small town outside of Minneapolis. Her husband had passed away 5 years earlier, and her 2 grown sons had long moved out of state. Judith had always been an active woman: church choir on Sundays, bridge club on Thursdays, gardening on weekends. But when COVID hit, everything changed. The groups stopped meeting, the phone calls slowed, and when the world began to open up again, somehow, it seemed harder to reach out, harder to reconnect. Judith found herself sitting in her kitchen most mornings, coffee cooling on the table, looking out the window and wondering, who would even notice if I disappeared? Now, this story is not unique. In fact, it's far more common than most people want to admit. Because the truth is, while we prepare older adults for the physical changes of aging, the slower steps, the graying hair, almost no one prepares us for the emotional changes, for the loss of friendships, for the slow but painful fading of social circles. It doesn't happen overnight. No one sends a letter saying, "Congratulations, your friends are now gone." No, it happens when life quietly moves the pieces of your world around. Your children move away, neighbors relocate, spouses pass, retirement comes, and the casual daily interactions that once kept us feeling connected, a chat in the office, a wave to the mailman, a smile from the grocery clerk you knew by name, they disappear. And in that quiet space, loneliness creeps in. It is not always loud. Sometimes it is a soft sadness in the morning. Sometimes it is the sharp sting of realizing no one has called in weeks. Sometimes it is a deep ache in your chest when a memory comes, and there is no one to share it with. What makes this loneliness especially cruel is that society often pretends it shouldn't exist. There is this unspoken message that older adults should be content with what they have. A few family visits, some hobbies, maybe a volunteer shift, and while those things are valuable, they are not a substitute for deep, meaningful friendship. They do not replace the warmth of laughter shared with someone who truly knows you. They do not replace the safety of a friend's understanding. And there is another dangerous myth, that older people no longer need close friendships. As though connection is something we outgrow, like training wheels on a bicycle. But the science says otherwise. Strong social bonds in later life are linked to better health, lower blood pressure, improved memory, and even longer life. And emotionally, well, they remind us that we are still worthy of love, laughter, and loyalty. Without those bonds, life can feel unbearably heavy. Every small challenge, a doctor's appointment, a bad night's sleep, a bill in the mail, feels bigger when faced alone. Friends are not just companions for fun. They are lifelines in the hard moments. They remind us of who we are and why we matter. And yet, so many older women, and men too, begin to internalize this loneliness. They believe it is a personal failing, or simply part of getting old. But it is not. It is a cultural blind spot, one we must address. That is why we are having this conversation today. To say out loud what too many have only whispered in their hearts. I miss having someone to talk to. If that is you, hear me clearly. You are not broken. You are not weak. And you are certainly not alone. And most importantly, it is not too late. Not even close. The next chapter of your life can be filled with joy and connection again, if you choose it. And today, I will show you how. In the next part of this video, we will explore why loneliness is not just sad, it is dangerous. And how recognizing that truth can be the first step toward changing it. But before we go on, I want to ask you, have you ever felt this kind of loneliness? Or have you discovered unexpected friendship later in life? I would love to hear your story. Please share it in the comments below, because your voice matters. And you never know who you might inspire by sharing it. Now, take a deep breath. You are here, you are still worthy, and your story is still unfolding. Let's take this journey together. Loneliness is not just a feeling. It is not simply waking up and thinking, I wish I had someone to call today. No, it is far deeper. It is a silent force that seeps into the body and mind. And if left unaddressed, it can cause real, measurable harm. I want to be very honest with you about this, because when we talk about aging gracefully, about living a full and vibrant life, we often overlook this crucial truth. Prolonged loneliness is a health risk. A serious one, as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. According to some researchers, imagine that. Not having a trusted friend can be as damaging to your heart and mind as a lifetime of bad habits. But here's the hardest part. Loneliness doesn't show up on a blood test. Your doctor may say you're doing fine because your heart rate is stable or your blood sugar is under control. But in the quiet moments, when no one is watching, that deep emptiness takes its toll. Let's go back to Judith, the woman I mentioned earlier. After nearly a year of increasing isolation, something shifted. She started sleeping in later and later. The morning walks she once loved became too much effort. She would forget simple things, whether she'd eaten lunch, where she left her keys. Her mind felt foggy, her motivation low. On the outside, she still looked like a healthy older woman. But inside, her spirit was unraveling. Her story is echoed by countless others. Scientists have now proven that loneliness triggers inflammation in the body, weakens the immune system, and accelerates cognitive decline. In fact, lonely seniors are more likely to develop dementia, depression, and even cardiovascular disease. And why? Because the human body, your body, was not designed for isolation. We are wired for connection. It is as essential to survival as food and water. When we lose that connection, our nervous system enters a state of subtle stress. The body thinks it is under threat. Stress hormones rise, sleep worsens, memory falters, the spark of life dims. But here is what breaks my heart the most. So many older adults blame themselves. They think, I'm just getting old. But no, what they are feeling is the natural consequence of a deep unmet need for companionship. Not for dozens of friends or a busy social life, but for the comfort of knowing that even one person truly sees them. Think about this for a moment. Imagine having just one person you could call after a hard doctor's appointment. One person to share a laugh over an old memory. One person to sit with you in silence and still feel connected. That one bond can change your entire life. Unfortunately, our culture often sends the wrong message. It tells older people, stay busy, go to church, volunteer, and while activity is good, movement is not the same as connection. You can be the busiest person in town and still feel completely alone. What heals is not busyness, but meaningful exchange. A conversation where you are not just heard, but understood. A moment when someone looks at you and truly sees you, your joys, your losses, your worth. That is what makes life rich again. I remember a gentleman named Earl, whom I met at a community center in Ohio. Earl was 78, widowed for 3 years, and fiercely independent. He volunteered 5 days a week, kept his yard immaculate, and even drove neighbors to appointments. Yet when I sat with him one afternoon and asked, when was the last time someone asked how you really were? His eyes filled with tears. Not in a long time. He whispered. That moment taught me something powerful. Outward busyness is not the same as inner connection. We must create space for real relationships, even if it means slowing down or risking vulnerability. And here's the hopeful part. Awareness is the first step. Once you realize that loneliness is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to face, the path forward begins to open. You can take action, even small ones, to invite connection back into your life. In the next part of this video, we will talk about why friendships fade after 60, and what small but powerful steps you can take today to begin rebuilding them. Because your story is not over. In fact, the most beautiful chapter may be just ahead. But for now, I want you to hold one thought close to your heart. You are wired for connection. You are worthy of friendship and love, and it is never too late to feel deeply alive again. Stay with me. We are just getting started. In our last conversation, we talked about the hidden dangers of loneliness. But now, let's take a step back and ask a deeper question. Why do friendships fade after 60? It's not simply about getting older. It's about the many subtle, and sometimes painful, transitions that come with this season of life. And understanding these transitions is the first step toward reclaiming the connection you deserve. Think about this. For most of our lives, friendship comes naturally. In school, you sat next to the same kids every day. On the job, you saw the same coworkers at lunch. Even raising children provided built-in opportunities to meet other parents at ball games or PTA meetings. But after 60, life changes in ways we often underestimate. Take retirement, for example. It sounds like freedom, and in many ways it is. But it also marks the loss of daily structure and workplace relationships. Suddenly, the familiar rhythm of casual conversations and shared experiences vanishes. Now think about when children grow up and move away. The house that was once filled with noise and life becomes quieter. Holidays become less predictable. Even simple things, like cooking dinner, can feel strangely empty. Then there's the loss of a spouse or partner. Whether through death or emotional distance, that loss can leave an older adult feeling invisible in their own home. The one person who used to be their closest confidant is no longer there to share life's little moments. And sometimes, a move meant to bring safety to a new home, a senior community, or a different state, disrupts long-standing friendships. I once met a woman named Martha in Florida who told me, "I thought moving here would be paradise. But it's hard being the new person when everyone already has their circles." These are not just life events, they are social earthquakes. And the most dangerous part? They often happen so gradually that we don't even realize how lonely we're becoming. One day, you wake up and notice that it's been weeks since you've had a meaningful conversation. You scroll through your phone contacts and hesitate. Who would even want to hear from me? And then comes the most damaging thought of all. Maybe it's just too late. But I am here to tell you, it is not too late. Not by a long shot. The skill of building friendship as an adult, especially after 60, is different. Yes, but it is absolutely possible. And in many ways, it can be even more rewarding. Here's why. Earlier in life, friendships are often based on convenience or proximity. You happen to sit next to someone, or your kids happen to be in the same soccer league. But in later life, connection becomes a choice. It becomes intentional, and that's what makes it so meaningful. I remember speaking with a group of older women at a library event in Oregon. One woman, 68 years old, said something I'll never forget. "When I was younger, I collected friends like seashells. Now, every friend I have is one I chose carefully, someone I truly cherish." So how do you begin? First, give yourself permission to be new at this. Yes, it may feel awkward. Yes, you may feel nervous showing up to that first meeting or introducing yourself to someone new. But I promise, everyone else there feels the same way. Courage loves company. Second, start small. Don't aim to create an entire circle overnight. Choose one activity, one event, one opportunity this week where you can meet new people. It could be a book club, a walking group, a gardening class, or even an online community if mobility is an issue. Third, reconnect with the past. Sometimes the most beautiful friendships are ones we thought were lost. Send a simple text or letter to an old friend. "I was thinking about you. How have you been?" You'd be amazed how often that one message reopens a door. And most importantly, stay open. New friendships take time. They require vulnerability. They may involve some false starts. But remember, every thriving community of older adults you see, every lively dinner group or travel club, it all began with one person deciding to show up. I'll give you another real-life example. My neighbor's mother, Betty, moved to Arizona at 72 after her husband passed. For 6 months, she barely left her condo. But one afternoon, she saw a flyer in the elevator for a local memoir writing workshop. She told herself, "What do I have to lose?" And she went. That single decision changed everything. Through that workshop, Betty met 6 other women, all navigating their own transitions. Now, they meet for lunch twice a month. They share stories, they laugh, they cry, and most of all, They remind one another that life after 60 can still be rich with connection. And so can yours. In the next part of this video, we'll explore an even more powerful truth, one that can change how you see yourself today. The myth that older adults can't form new, deep bonds is just that, a myth. And once you understand how connection really works after 60, you'll see that your best friendships may still be ahead of you. Stay with me. We are building this beautiful next chapter together. Let's talk about one of the biggest lies society tells older adults. You're too old to make new friends. I've heard it so many times, in casual conversations, in movies, even from older adults themselves. What's the point? I'm too set in my ways. People already have their own lives. I wouldn't know how to start. But let me tell you something important. That voice in your head? That's not your truth. That's a lie you've been taught. And it's time to let it go. In fact, older adults, yes, you, are uniquely equipped to form the deepest, most authentic friendships of your lives. Why? Because you've lived, you've lost, you've learned. You no longer need to impress anyone. You're not chasing popularity or social approval. You seek connection that is real. I once sat with a group of women at a senior center in Chicago. One woman, Eleanor, said it beautifully. At this age, I'm not interested in shallow talk about the weather. I want conversations that feed the soul. And that is exactly the gift that later life friendships can offer. You see, when we are young, we often form friendships through convenience, classmates, co-workers, fellow parents. But as we grow older, we have the freedom to choose relationships that are based on shared values, mutual respect, and emotional authenticity. That is a superpower. Another woman I know, Diane, age 74, joined a local hiking group in Vermont after her husband passed away. At first, she worried she would feel out of place. Most of the group had been hiking together for years. But she showed up anyway. And what she discovered was this. Everyone in that group had once been the new person today. Those hikers are some of her closest friends, not because they all love the same trail, but because they all chose to show up for life again. And you can do the same. Here's the truth about forming new friendships after 60. You don't need perfect words. You don't need a polished appearance. You don't need to be the life of the party. You only need 3 things. Presence. Show up, even when it feels scary. Openness. Allow yourself to be seen, even if slowly. Patience. Real friendships take time to grow. I want you to imagine this. One new friend. One person you can call when you have good news or when you feel low. One person to share a coffee with, or a walk, or a meal. That one connection can transform your life. In fact, many of the strongest friendships are not formed in youth. They are forged in fire, loss, and reinvention. Later life gives you something precious. The freedom to build relationships on your own terms. You no longer have to play a role or fit a mold. You get to choose. Who lifts your spirit? Who makes you laugh? Who listens with an open heart? And guess what? When you begin showing up with this kind of authentic presence, you attract others who are longing for the same. Remember Judith, the woman I shared about earlier? After struggling with deep loneliness, she finally took a leap and joined a local watercolor painting class. She almost canceled twice. Fear told her, "You won't fit in." But she went, and there she met Clara, another widow who loved to paint. Over time, they built a friendship rooted not just in art, but in shared understanding and gentle support. Today, Judith says, "It's not about how many friends I have. It's about knowing that at least one person truly sees me, and that I see them too." That is the heart of connection. So if you are sitting at home wondering, is it too late for me? Hear me clearly. No, it is not. Your life is still unfolding. Your heart is still capable of love, laughter, and loyalty. And your next chapter, this very one, may hold friendships more profound than you've ever known. In the next part of this video, we will explore another important truth. While building friendships is wonderful, happiness without a large social circle is also possible and deeply valid. Because your joy, at this stage of life, belongs to no one but you. Stay with me. You are not alone on this path, and your best moments may be just ahead. Let's pause and take a deep breath together. By now, we've talked about the quiet loss of friendship after 60, about how it impacts our health, about how to rebuild connection, and about why it's never too late to begin again. But there's another truth we need to honor today, and it's this. Not everyone will want or need a large circle of friends. And that is okay. In fact, for some, solitude becomes a powerful source of peace, purpose, and even joy, in a world that constantly tells us we must stay busy or stay social. It can feel like we're somehow failing if we choose a quieter path. But here's what I want you to remember. Happiness is not one size fits all. Some older adults, maybe even you, may not have the opportunity, energy, or desire to rebuild an active social life. Others may discover that their deepest fulfillment now comes from within, from solitude, creativity, or spiritual growth, and that is not a lesser form of happiness. It is a beautiful one. I think of my friend Alan, 82 years old, a retired high school teacher in upstate New York. After his wife passed, well-meaning neighbors kept urging him to join every senior group in town. But Alan quietly realized something. What fed his soul was not group activities, but long walks in nature, painting, and writing letters to his grandchildren. He told me, "I am not lonely, I am alone, and those are not the same." His days are simple but rich: morning tea, reading poetry, tending to his small garden. In that rhythm, Alan has found a deep and lasting peace. And I want you to know, you can. Too, you do not need to measure your joy by how many friends you have or how many events you attend. What matters is whether you feel whole, whether your life, as it is, brings you a sense of meaning. For some, that will come through community, through new friendships and shared laughter. For others, it will come through solitude, through rediscovering passions, nurturing creativity, or deepening spiritual practice. And for many, it will be a blend of both, moments of connection balanced with time for reflection. There is no wrong way. What matters most is this: that you are living true to yourself. If community calls you, answer it. If solitude brings you peace, honor it. If your heart longs for both, create your own rhythm between them. Let me share one last story. A woman named Rose, 76, shared with me that for years, she felt guilty about not wanting to be more social. Her friends often pressured her to join every club and attend every event. But Rose finally realized that her deepest joy came from caring for her rescue dog, painting at home, and having a few deep conversations with trusted friends. Not a large circle, but a meaningful one. She told me, "I stopped apologizing for the life that fills me up, and I hope you will do the same." Here is what I want you to remember as we close. You have nothing to prove. There is no expiration date on joy. There is no age limit on purpose. You have earned the right to shape this chapter of your life exactly as you choose. Whether you seek new friendships, deepen old ones, or find peace in solitude, all are valid, beautiful paths. And even if you choose a quieter path, remember, small moments of connection can still nourish your spirit. A warm conversation with a neighbor, a handwritten note to an old friend, a kind smile exchanged at the grocery store. These small gestures remind us that we are still part of the human story, still connected to the great web of life. So as you move forward, ask yourself, what does happiness look like for me now, in this season? Listen to the answer, trust it, shape your life around it. Because aging is not the end of connection. It is the beginning of a deeper relationship with yourself and with the world around you. If this message has spoken to your heart today, I invite you to take one small step toward your version of joy. Reach out to someone, attend that event you've been curious about, begin that creative project you've put off. Take a quiet moment to honor the life you've built and the life still ahead of you. And if you feel moved, please share your reflections in the comments below. Tell us, what brings you joy these days? What part of your life are you reclaiming? Your voice matters. Your story may be the one that inspires someone else to begin again. And if this video has helped you, please like, subscribe, and explore the rest of our vibrant elders community. This is more than a channel, it is a space where we grow together. Remember, you are not invisible, you are invaluable, and your next chapter is still unwritten. Let's write it well, together. Before we part today, I want to invite you to pause for just a moment. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Feel the beating of your heart, that quiet, faithful rhythm that has carried you through every season of your life. You are here, and that is no small thing. Throughout this video, We've walked together through a truth many people rarely speak of, how the loss of friendship and connection can silently shape our later years. We've explored why friendships fade after 60, not because we've failed, but because life has moved the pieces of our world. We've seen how loneliness, if left unspoken, can affect not only our spirit but our very health. We've talked about how it is never too late to begin again, how new connections, when chosen with courage and authenticity, can bring a richness to life we may not have known was still possible. And we've honored another truth, that happiness need not follow anyone else's formula. Whether you seek new friends or find deep peace in solitude, your path is your own, and it is worthy. But beyond these lessons, I hope one deeper message has touched your heart today. You are not invisible. You are invaluable. You are not defined by how many names appear in your contacts list. You are not diminished because a phone sits silent. You are not broken because some days feel heavy with quiet. No, you are a soul with a lifetime of wisdom, love, and resilience. You carry within you stories no one else can tell. You have survived loss, embraced change, and continued forward when it would have been easier to give in to loneliness or fear. And here you are, still open to life, still seeking meaning, still capable of love, laughter, and connection. That, my friend, is courage. As you step into the days ahead, I want you to remember this: your next chapter is still unwritten, and you, only you, hold the pen. Do not be afraid to reach out. Do not be afraid to say yes to a new invitation. Even if your heart trembles a little, do not be afraid to send that text, or walk through that new door, or simply smile at a stranger. Every act of connection begins with one small choice, and sometimes, even one small moment, a kind conversation, a shared cup of tea, a gentle word, can remind you that you are part of this vast human story, still unfolding. And if, in this season, you find peace in your own company, embrace that too. Let no one tell you what joy should look like. Instead, ask yourself each morning, what would make today feel meaningful to me? Listen. Trust the answer. Perhaps it is reaching out to someone. Perhaps it is creating something beautiful with your hands. Perhaps it is sitting quietly beneath a favorite tree and simply feeling alive. There is no right way. There is only your way. And as you honor that path, you light the way for others, for children, for neighbors, for friends old and new, to do the same. Now, before we close, I want to extend a gentle invitation. If this message today has spoken to your heart, I would love to hear from you. In the comments below, tell us, what brings you joy these days? What part of your life are you reclaiming? What new chapter are you ready to begin? Your voice matters here, and you never know, your story may be the one that gives hope to someone else watching quietly, wondering if they, too, can begin again. If you found this video meaningful, I invite you to like it, subscribe to our vibrant elders community, and explore the playlist on happiness after 60. You'll find more stories, more tools, and more encouragement created just for you. Remember this, always, you have not missed your chance. You are living it. The joy you seek is not behind you, it is ahead of you, waiting for you to take one small step toward it. You are not alone on this path. We are walking it together. And perhaps, just perhaps, the most beautiful friendships, the deepest peace, the richest moments of your life are still yet to come. So take that step, reach out, show up, and trust that life still holds goodness, wonder, and love, just for you. Until next time, be well, stay open, and remember, you are not invisible. You are invaluable, and your story is not over. It is just beginning again.